Well, welcome again to our Main Street Sports Standout show here. This is our fast break Main Street Sports Standouts crossover episode here. And I've got Scotty Lotta in the middle here, Jeff Whitener on my far end here, Ray Halbrook here from Livestream SD. I want to say thank you so much for being with us tonight for our Main Street Sports Standout show. And guys, we are going to really just dive in here. It's a night to honor the kiddos and a night to just do that standout thing that we do every season. But before we get started, I definitely want to do a lot of thank yous, and one of our thank yous big time is all of our announcers, not only just Scott and Jeff, but Lee Richardson, Coach Woody, Drake Beekman, Brian Kaplinger, I believe he's been involved in a little bit of this as well. Our camera people, tons and tons of camera people, including Carly Isbell, Baylor Pemberton, Cam Woods, Braden Moon, and others. And so
Mrs.
Livestream, she did. You know what was funny about that? We tried to keep her off the, from having to come out to so many games, because she probably got about 200-300 games under herself. So the funny thing about it was this year is like, hey, we're going to try to get you a little bit of help. So we did, but she did have to come out for one of our last games. So Mrs. Livestream, we appreciate you, Michelle. But also at the same time, we thank you so much to all of our sponsors. You know who you are, and we can't do this without you guys, and we appreciate that. But without further ado,
also a big shout out to the schools that allowed us on their campuses to be there to spotlight
the entire Jefferson
program,
County.
Their young athletes. I mean, without the school, without their kids, there's nothing to show you.
There you have.
As well as all of our voters, everyone who participated in this and took the time and effort out, and everyone was very conscientious about going through and doing the research to make sure that we got this as right as possible.
Right. And last but not least, our supporters as well. We can't do this without our parents and the players as well. And we have a ton of fun seeing you guys out there at all of our games. So without further ado, I'm going to kick it over here to Jeff Whitener. He has our criteria on how we came up with these standouts.
Very important to go over the criteria, and I'd like to take that graphic later, and we'll have it posted on our socials so people understand exactly what we did to bring this about, Ray, what we do every year. And probably the biggest change that we had this year, if you want to pull that up, we'll talk to people here. What we decided to do, because we didn't get to see the teams in Perry County, we decided to stick to the JCA Jefferson County schools only. And it wouldn't be fair to the local players. It wouldn't be fair to the kids in Perry County. And we know there are some excellent players and excellent teams down there, but we just simply don't get the opportunity to see them. We don't have sponsors to go down there. So we wanted to stick to what we knew the best. And that means JCA schools, not the big county schools, the big conference schools. So without further ado, standouts are nominated and voted on by over a dozen members of the media and former coaches. Collectively, we saw over 75 games, if not more, this winter. No all-star game list is complete and perfect, and we're sure this one will be debated. This list is based solely on our opinions from observing the athletes play as well as season statistics. This list, as I mentioned, includes Jefferson County JCA large and small schools only. We choose 8 teams, first and second team, boys and girls, from Jefferson County, both large and small. So there are 40 players total, 20 players of each 8 size school, large and small. We choose one MVP from all 4 categories. We choose players regardless of position and regardless of year grade level. We make a point of not nominating any co-MVPs in any class. If there's, for some reason, a tie vote, we do our traditional thumb wrestling tiebreaker.
Rock, paper, scissors.
And rock, paper, scissors, that's correct. But each voter submits their own personal picks. Ballots are tallied, reviewed. Unanimous choices automatically make the team, and then we go by majority vote for the rest of the players. It's obvious, as in with any all-star team, any kind of list like this, some very good athletes are going to be left off the list. It's not our intent to slight anybody or upset schools or sponsors. It's just the way it goes, and this is simply our way to recognize, shine a light on the kids who we felt were the best performers throughout the season, and to have some fun as well. And last, and this is the most important thing, this list of players is biased. All postseason accolades are. Everyone has biases when they put lists together. And I'm sure that as fair as we want this to be, there's always some bias that's going to creep in. So without further ado, gentlemen, let's hit the list. And Ray, who do you have up first?
Let's get it rolling here right now. And we're going to start with the girls' second team. And our first second teamer is from Crystal City. That's Molly Reeder.
Molly Reeder, the sophomore from Crystal City, made the team last year as well. Second on the Hornets in assists this season. A versatile two-guard. She can play a variety of different positions on the floor. And this is Molly's second consecutive selection to the team.
I like what you did there, Jeff. Molly and Crystal City. Crystal City came out, had a solid year. They started out very strong. I think they kind of hit some bumps in the road in the second half, but Molly made a lot of contributions, and she was kind of one of those players. I mean, she's kind of one of those glue players where it's like she makes the other players around her better.
I like it. My final thought on that there, hey, kudos to the Crystal City Hornets girls this year. Really surprised, I think, the heck out of it, just about the entire county. So it's not just a Molly Ryder issue, but a big shout-out to the Crystal City girls. Our next standout, Madison Nolick from Grandview, the Grandview Eagles, and we have a Grandview sighting there, Scotty. But Jeffrey, what do you know about Madison?
Well, Madison's a junior, was a junior this year at Grandview. She led the Eagles in scoring, free throw percentage, steals, and block shots. She was all over the court for them. And, in what was a pretty down year for the Grandview overall, she was a huge bright spot. And this is Madison's first selection to the team as a junior.
And from my alma mater, Madison Nolick, like as you mentioned, she's just a junior, so she led the team in scoring. She was a leader on the court. I'm anxious to see what she does going forward next year.
Excellent. All right, our next standout, Macy Pope from the Herculaneum Black Cats. Macy Pope.
Macy Pope makes the team for the first time as a senior. Macy led the Black Cats in scoring, three-point scoring, and block shots. She was second on the team in rebounds. And Macy was a joy to cover this year. Another team that had a down year, Herculaneum, but she was always present in the post, high or low, and doing what she could for her team to win. And, shooting from the outside, she could shoot outside, she could play it down below, inside, anywhere on the court, Scott.
I did not know she led the team in three-point shooting, so that was actually pretty cool. She was one of our Gordon Stoplight players of the game, one of the games that we covered, and she was so excited, and that was just really a cool moment. That's why we enjoy doing so much what we do.
Excellent. Yeah, we've seen her for about 2-3 years here, and just seen the evolution of her just becoming into a very smart basketball player overall. And tell you the truth, on the whole thing here, there wasn't one game I don't think we couldn't have actually made her MVP or player of the game. Just about every game that we saw from her. So kudos to Macy. Moving on to our next standout, Avery Humphrey from the Jefferson Blue Jays.
Avery Humphrey makes the second team small schools as a sophomore this year. second on the Blue Jays in block shots. She's a multi-sport athlete with a very high motor on both ends of the floor. She played very sound defense. As Coach Richardson said, he's very impressed with how she was able to see the floor and make passes this year. This is her first selection to the team, and kind of surprised at for me, between her freshman and sophomore year, how much she improved over time. And I know moving forward for the Blue Jays down there, Coach Holdinghausen, she will be a pivotal member of that squad next year.
Humphrey, just a sophomore, and underclassmen, generally freshmen and sophomores, you see them get in the game. Sometimes they kind of shrink from the action a little bit. She was right in the middle of the action, which is, that's a great sign for when she, has 2 more years to go. So, she's got a high ceiling. We'll see where that leads her.
Excellent. Our next standout, Annabelle Richardson from the Jefferson Blue Jays.
Annabelle, had the pleasure of knowing this young lady for quite a while. She was the post player for Jefferson in the middle. She led the Blue Jays in block shots, but she also led them, just like Macy did, in three-point shooting percentage. So she had the outside Dirk Nowitzki type of flair. Nice. This was Annabelle's first selection to the team, which made me very happy to see when the votes were counted that she was able to make the team. Just a joy to cover. Annabelle, not her number one sport, basketball. She used basketball to stay in shape for her number one sport, which is softball. And as a senior, she has committed to play softball for St. Charles Community College.
All right, go softball. But you look back on her career as senior, and she was very instrumental in the success for her team. And you don't often see a 3-point specialist and someone who specializes in block shots. So, that's quite the combination.
Yeah, absolutely. Annabelle has had to, kind of redefine throughout the seasons, the last 2-3 seasons. She had kind of had a role doing one thing a few years ago, and then she was doing another thing. This year, she's kind of had to adapt, but with her doing that has really made her a much better player overall. So kudos to Annabelle. And that is our second team. Let's move over to our first team right now. And our first standout of the first team is Addison Bova from the Crystal City Hornets.
And I'll tell you guys right now, and all the folks watching at home, this first team is full of Hornets and Blue Jays. They were clearly the best 2 teams in the small schools for the girls, and it's reflected on this list. Addison Bova, a sophomore, she came on the scene last year as a freshman at Crystal City, made the team as well as the first team, and just made an immediate impact in this league. She's among the metro area leaders, the entire metro area leaders in scoring. She's among the entire metro area leaders in steals. She led the Hornets in scoring, 3-point scoring, assists, and steals. She led all Hornets starters in free throw shooting percentage, and you can see why with all of those stats. This is her second consecutive selection to the team, and Addison was a unanimous selection to the first team JCA small school girls.
As rightly she should be, and just a sophomore. That's the scary thing.
Yeah.
Such a high motor for this young athlete, and watching her play, I remember her playing against Herculaneum and a couple other contests where it's just like you had to know where she was every time on the court, because she was one of those come up behind you, steal the ball, and then immediately, poof, she's gone. Just a fun athlete to watch.
Absolutely. You just mentioned she's a sophomore, is that correct?
Correct.
Holy moly.
There's
no reason why she shouldn't be a standout for the next 2 years after this year even. So, as far as I'm concerned, she was a force last year, which was just an amazing bright spot for the Hornets. So, I'm looking forward to seeing more growth and more just taking over the games and things like that for Addison. So let's move on to our second standout here, and that's Maya Hankins from the Crystal City Hornets.
Every team has there's some dynamic duos. In Crystal City, they really had a dynamic trio. But Maya Hankins, the senior for Crystal City this year, she was the big rebound getter. She was among the whole metro area leaders in rebounds. Of course, she led the Hornets in that category as well. but she was second on the team in scoring and second on the team in steals. This is my second consecutive selection to the team, and a very well-deserved one, Scott.
A senior, and you talk about, some teams, they may have more of a finesse game. Maya was not afraid to have kind of a physicality to her game, and I think that toughness, kind of rubbed off on some of her teammates, and I definitely think that helped lead her, and obviously kind of helped mold a little bit, where Bova was going, because that let her kind of carve her own river.
Absolutely. Moving on to standout number 3, there is Peyton Guffey from the Jefferson Blue Jays.
Peyton Guffey, the senior for Jefferson. A lot of accolades for this young lady. I'll start off by mentioning that our friend Lee Richardson calls her the Bulldog, and you can see why when you watch her play on the court. She was among the metro area leaders in assists. She was among the metro area leaders in free throw percentage. She was among the metro area leaders in steals. She led the Blue Jays in those in assists. She was second on the team in scoring, rebounds, and steals. This season, she set the Blue Jays' career record for assists. She set the Blue Jays' single-game record for assists. She ended her career with over 1,000 points scored. This is Peyton's third consecutive selection to the team, and Peyton was a unanimous selection to the team. And I will tell you, it's been a joy to watch her these last 4 seasons. I've covered a lot of different sports, and boys and girls, men's and women's, and I don't know that I've ever seen just a feistier competitor than Peyton Guffey. And so much of what she has done has just been through hard work and skill, Scott.
That's an extensive list that you read off there, and I got to say, everything on there checks a box. And she was just a well-rounded competitor. And a pleasant person. I mean, we interviewed her a couple of times. She's very she would kind of deflect to her teammates and everything. But I mean, she was such a leader. I mean, the professor gave her the moniker the Bulldog, but I mean, nice as can be until you put her on the court, and then it's like she is just number one. She is a competitor. Yeah,
Peyton Guffey, the spark plug, the Bulldog. And the team player, and she's the most well-rounded, I think, especially in the small schools that we've seen, this season. So, standout number 4, Helena Lloyd from the Jefferson Blue Jays.
Helena Lloyd, another senior for the Blue Jays this year, and of course, what's a great guard without a great scorer, guys? Helena Lloyd, among the metro area leaders in points. In scoring, among the metro area leaders in free throw percentage, among the metro area leaders in rebounds. She led her team in those categories as well. She was second on the team in assists next to her friend Miss Guffey. Set the Blue Jays' career record for points with over 1,400 this year, or for her career, pardon me. She set the Blue Jays' single-game record for points this season. She's second on the Blue Jays for all-time list for career rebounds. This is her third consecutive selection to the team. Helena was a unanimous selection, and the finesse in the scoring that she brought to the table, to complement what Guffey was able to do on the court. These two were tied together in the history for Jefferson forever as far as what they were able to do, much like a Metcalf and a Fowler were for Herculaneum years ago.
Back in the day.
But make no mistake about Helena Lloyd and her demeanor off the court. She's every bit the feisty competitor on the floor that Peyton was. And those two together really willed their team to a lot of wins.
Yeah, you kind of talked about, they're kind of intertwined, Guffey and Lloyd. And we've got to see the arc of the career of Lloyd as she improved, and she was just so consistent. And to think that both Guffey and Lloyd are seniors this year, I mean, you kind of don't realize that they're done. And so next year, obviously, those are some huge shoes to fill. But I mean, tip of the cap to both of them, especially Lloyd. I mean, all those different categories that she dominated in, just a fun athlete to watch.
Yeah, you had Guffey as the Bulldog, which you had Lloyd as the thoroughbred. stretching things out, being able to just be athletic in the boards and those rebounds and the points. So big time loss there for Coach Stevie Holdinghausen.
And guys, you could make an argument that both, as good as they were in basketball, might even be better in volleyball.
Yeah.
So it's just athletes being athletes.
Thank you for railroading my post there. So number 5, here we go. Our number 5 standouts, and we'll just give it right straight to you here. Louise Deppner from the Jefferson Blue Jays.
Another Blue Jay on the list, another senior, and another well-deserved honor for Louise. Someone who made the team primarily for her defensive ability, guys. She was the plus defender that they sent out to guard the best player on the other floor. If they played Crystal City, she was guarding Bova, etc. Among the metro area leaders in steals, she obviously led the Blue Jays in steals. She was second or third on the team in assists, obviously. And this is Louise's first selection to the team, and I'm glad she's one of just a handful of players you'll see on this list today that made these teams based primarily on their defensive play.
Defense gets overlooked so much, obviously, because, everything goes to the scores. Everybody lives and dies, with who scored the most points. But what makes that happen, what gets transition points? Louise Deppner. And I do have a personal family tie to the Deppner family. I umpire with, anyway. But we always called them Dupner. So, and I even got corrected on air a couple of times, like, no, it's Deppner. I was like, I know, but we always called her Dupe. So whenever she would make like a 3-pointer or something, I'd go Dupe, and the family they would send me a text or something, and they go, that was so cool, and that she would get really jazzed about that.
There you go. Well, that's a look at our small school girls. We're going to jump right straight into the large school girls right now, and we have our second team, large school standouts, and we start with Peyton Stearns from the DeSoto Dragons.
Peyton Stearns, DeSoto, the junior this year, she led the Dragons in free throw percentage. She led them in three-point shooting percentage. She was second on the team in rebounds, assists, and steals. This is her first selection to the team as a junior. And just the thing I can say about Peyton more than anything else is her IQ on the court, her basketball IQ, her discipline, and her shooting ability were very impressive, guys.
Yeah, and obviously, playing for DeSoto when she was in, that meat grinder of a conference. I mean, when you're playing against Festus, Hillsborough, Windsor, Perryville, it's like there's no nights off. And, she made a lot of things happen, and she was down there. She was getting some of those tough points. She was getting rebounds. You always saw her hustling. I saw her hit the floor more times than I would like to remember.
Yeah. Big kudos here to Coach Fox for the DeSoto Dragons. This season, I think it's his second season here. And so it's it's that process and trusting the process. And I think this is a great start here with a girl like Peyton Stearns. So let's move on to our number 2 standouts there. That's Mackenzie Missy from the DeSoto Dragons.
The senior Mackenzie Missy from DeSoto, she led the team in scoring. She led them in assists and steals. She was tied for first on the Dragon in blocked shots. This is Mackenzie's second time being selected to the Standouts team. And when I think of Mackenzie and her career, I'm always going to think of this very athletic player who's in the middle of anything, not afraid of anything on the court, sticks her nose in the tough areas of the court, whether you need a rebound, whether you need drive to the basket, or she could pull up and shoot. Just a very versatile player overall.
Great senior season. In my opinion, the heart and soul of that team, everything pretty much began and ended with Mackenzie Missy. She got the team going. She was always right in the middle of the huddle, and she was just fun to watch play, and you just knew that every night she was given 110%.
Yeah, Mackenzie Missy, Captain Hustle, and it's a shame that we didn't get to see her maybe for another year here to see the DeSoto ladies, progress and see what that could look like for next season. But she definitely will be missed. Moving on to number 3 here, Eliza Skaggs from the Festus Tigers.
Eliza Skaggs is the senior for the Festus Tigers, and Eliza, there was a huge battle. She just missed out on the first team selection overall. She definitely would be the sixth woman, I guess, off the bench here on our first team. She was among the metro area leaders in three-point shooting, among the metro area leaders in steals. She led the Tigers in scoring, obviously helping them to a district championship. She's signed to play basketball at Carl Sandburg College. I know that Coach Richardson was a big fan of Eliza, and this is her second consecutive selection to the team, and just a gamer, just someone that you look when they're out on the court. Some of these players, they look like it's a job and they're struggling and it's tough. She would just always look like she was just thriving and loving every second of it.
Eliza, every time you just mention her name, I think game face, because every time you see her, she's got that intensity, and you can tell she's like, get me open, I'm going to shoot this three, or I'm going to drive. She doesn't care who she's matched up against. She's like, I'm going to do something on this play, and she is a fierce competitor. And like you said, I'm kind of surprised she didn't make first team, but definitely someone that you would want on your team in the trenches.
Absolutely. The thought and the word that comes to my mind is explosive. I mean, it seems like every time we were covering the games that she was a part of there, she just made some explosive plays, and it was a difference maker for a lot of these games. Moving on, our next standout, Abigail Reese from the DeSoto Dragons.
Abigail Reese, the junior this year, and she did a lot of the post work for the Dragons. She led them in rebounding on the team. She was also tied for first on the Dragons in block shots. She was second on the team in scoring as the junior this year too. And this is Abigail's first selection to the team, and it was fun to watch her work this year, knowing that she's got one more season ahead, as you mentioned, Ray, with Coach Fox there trying to build that program up. But I think Abigail learned a lot this year, and she proved that she is definitely belongs as one of the better players in the league.
I think Abigail kind of got stronger as the season went on. I don't know if, in the beginning, she was trying to find a role with the team, but it seemed like she kind of relaxed a little bit, and it seems like, it just kind of, her game just kind of came to her. And with one more year under her belt, I mean, I think next year she's definitely poised for a big breakout.
Excellent. Our last second teamer here is Ella Montgomery from the Windsor Owls.
Ella Montgomery, the sophomore, she led the Owls in scoring and free throw percentage. She was second on the team in rebounding. She was the only large school sophomore to make the team, and this is her first selection for someone who obviously comes from that softball lineage to do what she's done on the court. It's been very impressive so far on a team that, let's face it, the Windsor Owls, this was a down season for them, and she was one of the lone bright spots, Scott.
Yeah, you kind of touched on it there. They did kind of struggle a little bit down the stretch, but just being a sophomore and seeing the accolades, under her name as a sophomore, that's great to see, because next year she can be like, okay, I'm the upperclassman. I can set the example. Everyone's going to look to me, and then you can kind of build around that. And, she's got a lot of potential to move upward.
I agree with you there, Scotty. You might as well do it with Montgomery, right? I mean, that pedigree is just something else. And so, it may take a couple of years. They might be a year or two behind DeSoto as far as, the growth is concerned. But you use this as the stepping stone for years to come here. All right, that is a look at our second team. Let's take a look at our first team. Our first team standouts for the large schools is Olivia Madden from the Festus Tigers.
Never heard of her.
Yeah,
no,
right.
Just kidding. Olivia, the senior, of course, we heard you, known you for all 4 years and had the pleasure of covering you. Among the metro area leaders in assists, free throw shooting percentage as well. She helped lead her team to a district championship, the captain of the ship out there for the Tigers. She led the team in assists and free throw shooting percentage. She led the team in rebounds. Okay. Second on the Tigers in scoring. This is her third consecutive selection to the team, and Olivia has committed to playing basketball at Jefferson College, so she's going to be stuck with me for 2 more years. Unfortunately for you, Olivia, but we think of her, okay, she's a guard, and but she did so much more to that. She was so versatile on the floor, leading the team in rebounds. It just it's hard for me to think of her as just a guard, more of a swing player, I guess, or a small forward at times. Scott?
You mentioned that she's a guard and she led the team in rebounding, but when you watched her play, you could see the gears moving. Yeah, she was directing the offense, and yeah, she was running the play, but you could also see the anticipation to be like, okay, I'm seeing Skaggs take this shot, based on this trajectory. I think the ball is going to end up over here, and then she would go and get an offensive rebound and get a putback. She was everywhere on the court, and when she was on defense, I mean, there were some epic battles with the guards for the large schools, and she was very, very good. I mean, she would definitely be in the conversation for MVP for the large schools just because she was consistent. She was a leader. And, she wasn't flashy. She was just out there. She was just getting the job done.
Yeah, definitely the temperature gauge for the Lady Tigers there. Taking a look into, just in different scenarios with, being able to guide and absolutely just change the atmosphere at times during some games, and great, just a great ball handler, great basketball sense, and I'm glad we get to see her again for next season here at Jeffco. So that'll be really, really awesome. So awesome. Our number 2 standout, Lillian Kennedy from the Festus Tigers.
Another Festus Tiger makes the list, this time the junior Lillian Kennedy. Lillian was third on the Tigers in scoring, assists, and steals. Made some big-time plays, big-time steals in certain situations for the Tigers. But really, she was the defender. She was more of the lockdown defender on the team. Incredible speed, incredible motor. Again, helped her lead her team to a district championship. This is Lillian's second consecutive selection to the team. And Lillian is a junior. She will play and will commit to playing basketball after her senior season, but and is getting offers. She has not announced any sort of commitment yet. A little too early for that, guys.
I'm going to speak for the professor here. He was a huge fan of Lillian Kennedy. Every matchup that we had with her this year that we got to feature, he was like, watch her do this, watch her do that. Yeah. And it's like, she was so talented at scoring, and she had a physicality about her. You wouldn't think about it because you're like, oh, that ponytail bopping down the court, and then all of a sudden, boom, she's in a scrum, and it's like she was a high IQ, high motor competitor. Right. And Skaggs had a fierceness about her, but there was just a very smooth, very slice right to the heart of the matter, get to the middle of the play, get the ball, get it back, put it off the glass, and then very, very, very cool to watch.
2 words, beast mode, most of the time. So beast mode, we'll call her Beast Mode Kennedy for next season. But she's probably one of the funnest people to sit there and talk to. I'm setting up cameras or I'm doing different things, and I'll just say, hey, how you feeling tonight? And she'd kind of say, yeah, I'm in pretty good shape, And I'd ask her, how many points you think you get tonight, And most of the time she'd either get close to it or exceed it. So beast mode it is there for Lillian Kennedy. Our next standout from the Hillsboro Hawks, Ashley Hiltonsboro, Ashley Hilton.
And another player that I will get to see play for the next couple of seasons. Yay. In a different sport, however. Ashley Hilton, the senior, we've watched Ashley play along with her sister and then be on her own the last couple of years. 7th in the entire metro area in scoring. That's a lot of schools, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. She led Jefferson County in that category. She was among the metro area leaders in rebounding. She led the Hawks in scoring and rebounding. She helped the Hawks to a conference title and 24-6 overall record. She led the team in blocked shots. She was second on the team in steals. This is Ashley's 3rd consecutive selection to the team. She has committed to playing softball at Jefferson College, like her sister. So she'll be stuck with me for a while. And Ashley Hilton was a unanimous selection to the team.
I'm going to ask, is that 24-6 record accurate? I thought it was 24-4.
I'm not sure.
But look it up. Anyway, I coined the phrase a couple of years ago, Hiltonsboro, when her and her sister teamed up on the court, and then obviously her sister graduated, and then it became the Ashley Hilton Show. Hiltonsboro, and this year was kind of like their last ride. Obviously, a great supporting cast over there, so many different options, but it's a whole different feeling when you're the focus.
Yeah.
When you're the player that everyone game plans for, and you still go out and you still get your points, you still contribute. That is what she is all about, and she is most deflecting person you ever meet. She's like, hey, Galzinski had a good night. Matlock had a good night. And it's like, hey, you scored 27 points. You want to give some accolades to yourself? And she'd be like, hey, Coach Hubbard and everybody, we put in a game plan. We executed. The team made it happen. Just a great selfless player.
Absolutely. I could not agree with you more on that. Just the most even-keeled person that I've ever seen on the court. All, from beginning to end, it doesn't matter. You would not know if she was upset. And that right there, the mentality like that, having a mentality like that, I think that was the difference in the entire season, especially for the Hillsborough Hawks.
Well, you make a good point there, Ray, and that kind of stoicism that you see her display is why she's such a great pitcher in softball as well.
Right.
She doesn't get too high, too low. You don't know if she's ahead or behind, and that quality will serve her well. One more thing I did want to mention about Ashley, in speaking to another coach, and we both agreed on this, some players instinctively know where to go on the floor, that they can go to that open spot where they know that the ball is going to find them
right.
and score. And she had that innate ability. I don't see it that often in high school players. I've seen it more in college. But a lot of great scorers had it, and she's got that ability to figure out, to look at the way the play is progressing, go to that open spot, and anticipate the ball finding her there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Moving on to our next standout, and that is Kyra Matlock from the Hillsborough Hawks.
Another Hawk makes the list, third in the entire metro area in assists. As a senior this year for Kyra. Might be the only redhead that made the list this year.
That's okay.
Not that we're keeping track on that, but led entire Jefferson County in assists. Her 560 career assists is a Hawks record. She helped lead the Hawks to a conference title and a 24 win, and we don't know how many lost. That's up for discussion record. This is Kyra's third consecutive selection to the team, and she will continue her athletic and academic career at Missouri S&T. And Scott, a prototypical one guard, in my opinion. Her job, number one job, to get the ball safely up the court over the timeline, and to get that ball moving. I don't think I've seen a female in high school, at least in Jefferson County, pass the ball with the authority that she did and the speed and velocity on her throws, and she's just been a treat to watch.
And a lot of nights she may not have had her A game, but she found a way. She was all guts out there. She left everything on the line. She would go out there, like I said, she would find a way. She's like, I got to get this pass up the court. She would have very good court vision. She would dribble through double teams, and she would take a lot of bumps and bruises, and then she would get back up, and I'm friends with her dad, and I would basically, how's she feeling? It's like, she's pretty beat up, but, they got the job done, so she'll be all right. And she's just a competitor. I mean, like I said, the results may not always, have been, the prettiest, but in the end, she did what she needed to do to make the team successful.
Competitor indeed, and to me, the most impressive thing this season, being the facilitator, being that point guard, being that person that has to, kind of quarterback the team and, do what she had to do. She did. She took a ton of beatings, but she kind of looked at those and used those as badges of honor to an extent, and used that to her advantage. So kudos to Kyra, and good luck to her over at S&T. Our final Main Street Sports Standouts for the girls' large school is Carly Galzinski from the Hillsborough Hawks.
Another Hillsborough Hawks. You see there the entire first team made up of Tigers and Hawks, and I think that's very fitting given the season that that both these schools had. But what a pleasant surprise Carly Gasinski was this year, the senior making the team. She was first on the Hawks in three-point shooting percentage. She was first on the Hawks in free throw shooting percentage. She was second on the team in assists. She helped them to that conference title. And this was Carly as a senior. She makes the first selection to our Standouts team. And as I said, to me, she was the missing piece of the puzzle. Her improvement and how she stepped up this season. They had a Hilton, they had a Matlock, they had all these other good role players. But Gilzinski was able to really contribute in a way and improve that in a way that I have not seen her in the past do, Scott.
She was second on the team in assist. I wonder who was first. But yeah, I mean, this year she definitely really blossomed, and having that outside threat, I think definitely benefited Matlock. It benefited Hilton because you had to respect her, and sometimes she would actually draw a double team when she got hot from three, and that opens up so much more of the court, and then you can run so many more different offensive plays. And on defense, she was in there. She was throwing herself on the floor, going after loose balls and stuff. So kudos to her on an exceptional senior year.
I agree with you on that. Kind of almost call her the secret weapon, so to speak, because there's times where they had to call for her to do certain different roles, and she didn't shy away from it, didn't look any different at it, and said, hey, let's go. And that made a huge difference in a lot of these games this season, especially a couple of those games against Festus, to help extend leads, to help do things that made a difference overall in the long run for the Festus Tiger, or for the Hillsborough Hawks, I should say. So that is a look at all of our ladies, and we will be back in just a little bit with the boys' small and large school standouts. We'll be right back.
Shelter Insurance, Joy speaking.
It's Aubrey. I need to file a claim.
How can I help?
When I got home from school today, I found the house completely in shambles. All the windows are broken, the roof is ripped off, and the kitchen is destroyed.
Put your brother on the phone.
Mitchell, Mom's on the phone.
When the unexpected strikes, see shelter agents Ricky Watson in Festus or Kevin Epperson in High Ridge.
Men to do what they do. Devoted, skilled, solving problems before there are problems. Just like the team at Crystal Heating and Cooling. 60 years of teamwork and dedication. To Crystal, you're more than a customer. You're a friend. Top reviews, decades of experience keeping your home safe and comfortable through any weather. And Crystal Care Club with included maintenance and free financing options. For 60 years, Crystal puts their heart into your comfort. Crystal Heating and Cooling.
The House Bar and Grill at your Festus Pasta House is your place to watch all local high school sports live. That's right, I said live. Come in and enjoy all local high school sports brought to you live on our 5 big screen TVs from Livestream STL. Also enjoy our happy hour menu, which includes half-price pizzas, discounted appetizers, and drink specials. We are the best place to gather for your local high school sports, brought to you by Livestream STL at your Festus Pasta House on Highway A, where it's always a great time.
And cut, guys. Great show, as always.
Oh, thanks, Ray. I tell you what, Woody, I love talking baseball with you.
We're pretty fortunate to have this platform that we can shine light on these high school players and coaches in the area.
And the cool thing, too, is that despite our disabilities, we're still able to use our knowledge and experience to broadcast baseball and stay around the game.
And sometimes our disabilities work to our advantage.
Well, what do you mean? How so?
Sometimes it means going to the head of the line for access, for interviews and stuff like that. But for my favorite, getting autographs on my leg.
The Diamondcast Baseball Show. Always a leg up on the competition.
Did he really say that?
And welcome back to our second half of the Main Street Sports Standout Show here as we wrap things up with the boys' side. Don't forget, we'll still have the MVPs, so don't be worried about that quite yet. Don't change the channel, but we have the boys here in just a short second here. And we'll start right now with the second team standouts for the small schools. And our first second teamer is none other than Colton Adams from the Crystal City Hornets.
We have a freshman alert. A freshman alert. Freshman has made the list. The only freshman on our standouts team this year, Colton Adams from Crystal City. Colton was a deadly shooter from the outside, dead-eye, among the metro area leaders in three-point shooting. He led the Hornets in three-point shooting and free throw percentage, so that gives you an idea right now of his shooting eye. He was second on the team in rebounds and assists. Only freshman to make the team, as I mentioned, and this is Colton's first selection to the team, and he was a bright spot on a tough year for the Crystal City Hornet boys, but someone that the moment I saw play, I thought, oh, we need to get this guy on our radar, because if he stays at Crystal City these next 4 years, we're going to be talking about this guy a lot.
Freshmen to make this list is pretty exceptionally rare. We have them occasionally, but this kid, like you said, in a very down year, was able to kind of pick his spots and go out there and shine for them. And it's something that you can kind of put in your pocket and be like, okay, give him a progression of maybe 15, 20% improvement next year, and then who can they build confidence, maybe they can start to push that, a little bit farther down the road.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's take a look at our next standout, Trent Eisenbeis from the Crystal City Hornets.
Another Crystal City Hornet, this time a junior, Trent Eisenbeis, 8th in the entire metro area in assists. He led all of Jefferson County in assists on the boys' side. Led the Hornets at rebounding. He was second on the Hornets in steals. This is Trent's first selection of the team. And prior to this season, I really had thought of Trent as only a football player and an up-and-coming football player for the Hornets. But he really showed me some things this year. And, of course, with that Eisenbeis last name, we talk about some of certain family names in the county that have this great lineage. And that's certainly another one, Scott.
Well, you talk about football. I mean, you got to have you got to have toughness to play football. And then you bring that onto the court, and then you're being a leader. You're out there. And I believe in courtside basketball, I had a segment for the Hoops Whisperer called Beast, where you're out there, for the foul guy. He was up there in fouls, and he was out there. He was making contact. He was trying to get steals. He was going for loose balls. And again, the program, kind of had a rough year, but they kind of had like the last 2 weeks, where they kind of had some success. And then hopefully they can kind of remember that, and that acorn grows a little bit next year.
Absolutely. Taking a look at our next standout, Cameron Brooks from the Grandview Eagles.
Dun, da, da, da.
Cameron Brooks, Grandview Eagles, another football guy, Scott, another guy we think of the football team on the linebacker position. He was among the metro area leaders in block shots, led the Eagles in scoring, rebounds, and block shots. This was his first selection of the team as a senior, and just about everything accolade that you could give Cameron that you attributed to Trent Eisenbeis, you could say the same for Cameron for the Eagles, Scott.
They might have been separated at birth.
Cameron's a little taller.
But, I mean, very workmanlike performance, very workmanlike demeanor. Obviously, the program started off very, very rough. They did kind of find their footing in the second half, and as the professor of coachonomics mentioned, they were able to get over 500. Eventually, they fell back to 500. But he basically set a great example for the program, and definitely something they can go back and watch film next year and be like, here's what we want to do. See what he did. We want to emulate that. We want to bring that same toughness, and then just kind of sand off the edges a little bit and make it a little bit more refined.
Excellent. Our next standout, Noah Beeler from the Jefferson Blue Jays.
Noah Beeler, the senior for the Jefferson Blue Jays, makes the list in his final season for the first time, and Noah led the Blue Jays in three-point shooting percentage, very fast on the floor, but he was the lockdown defender for the Blue Jays. He was the guy they called upon to guard the best player, and he had great success with that. There were only a few guys that really were able to solve the Noah Beeler riddle on defense. An unassuming, kind of quiet guy when you talk to him, but his teammates know, his classmates know the real Noah and what he was like, and brought leadership to that court for Jefferson. And here again, another guy making the list basically based on primarily his defensive skills. And he had some of the quickest hands I've ever seen as a defender, is being able to get in, knock the ball away, get steals, just rip it out of guys' hands face to face with them, matching up one-on-one, Scott.
I'm so glad to see him on this list. As you mentioned, very quiet, very unassuming, a defensive specialist. And you talk about all the cavalcade of, players on the court with him at any given time. But he is such the difference maker, because a lot of times he drew the hardest assignment on the court. And he was out there. His motor was going 110%. He was out there. He was diving for balls. He would get you a bucket here and there when you needed it. Great team guy. And then, when something would go wrong, you could see him out there. He'd be fired up. He'd be, kind of like, okay, guys, we need to refocus. Great team leader. Obviously, he doesn't get the accolades that some of the other guys do on there, but an exceptional team player.
I don't know why the saying is coming to my mind, but he kind of has that no guts, no glory, accolades about himself. It's just like, hey, you put me on the hardest guy, no problem, let's go. And wears that again, kind of like wears that as a badge. So glad to see him as well on this list here. Our final second teamer is Jackson LaPlante from the Herculaneum Blackcats.
Jackson LaPlante makes the team his second time this year as a senior, among the metro area leaders in three-point shooting. He was second on the Blackcats in scoring and assists to another guy we'll talk about here in a little bit. But, a fine compliment to that other player that we'll discuss. But, Jackson throughout his career at Herculaneum has been a guy that they could rely on to get that three-point bucket, whether they're trying to climb back in the game or make a statement on offense, Scott.
It was kind of nice to see him progress through his career. Obviously, the player that you're alluding to most probably is Tanner Duncan, but it was nice to see a 1-2 punch with him, because a lot of nights Tanner would be out there and teams would kind of swarm him, and you're like, somebody needs to step up. And Jackson put in the work. He would, find his spots. Obviously he's known for shooting a lot of threes, but he actually had a pretty nice jumper from inside the three-point arc as well. And then, he would be out there, making a steal. He would, trying to, find someone open, for an easy bucket. But his progression has been fun to watch over his career.
Agreed. I think he's probably one of the funnest kids to watch, because he looks like he's just having an absolute blast out there.
Great hair, too.
Yeah, great hair, too. Good flow. So
yeah, if we have an all-hair team, he would definitely be a first selection.
Definitely. But, overall, the last few years has been a great addition and a great, secondary role player with Tanner. But, he's, again, a fun guy. He doesn't allow himself to get beat up too much, which is good. That's always a big thing, being in basketball, is just to have that good head on your shoulders. But great season, fun season for Jackson LaPlante. Let's take a look at our first team, JCAA Small School Boys Standouts, and our first teamer is none other than Cooper Frisk from the Jefferson Blue Jays.
Cooper Frisk, the senior, led the Blue Jays in steals. He was second on the Blue Jays in assists. He was one of the 4 10-point per game average scorers that the Blue Jays had this year. Cooper's second consecutive selection to the team. I thought about this a lot, what I could say about Cooper. And two things really kept coming to mind. Cooper, regardless of the sport he played, always played the game with a chip on his shoulder. And I don't know if that became because of his smaller stature. He always felt like he had something to prove on the court or on the football field. And because of that, I know that motivated him, and I know that propelled him. And there were situations where he was able to just pick up the team and put it on his back. What he did against Festus, because he was motivated by how they were supposedly treating him, than some of the things they were saying to him, and just dominated and took over that game. Cooper as a PA announcer, most of you know that I am a PA announcer for Jefferson. There are very few athletes that come along that when I announce that they score, they transcend getting the whole name. In other words, it wasn't Cooper Frisk with the bucket. It was just me yelling Cooper. Mm-hmm. And when you transcend that and become just a single name, that's something. It was difficult for Cooper the last few years because he had to play with some guys that he hadn't played with before that had all trained together. He was different. He and Noah had to fit themselves and accommodate the system. He's gone through 2 coaches in the last 2 years. So there were a lot of challenges there. But overall, Cooper was the guy that when the chips were down, you could get him the ball and he could make something happen.
When you say Cooper Frisk, immediately what comes to mind is quarterback. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about football, if you're talking about basketball. He's the quarterback of the team. And obviously over the last couple of years, he's had some players around him kind of ascend, and he's kind of had to have his role kind of merge or, kind of evolve. But as I look at his time at Jefferson, he was, if you watch them play, he's always where my eyes would go to because he was always trying to, get in there and pry the ball out. He was trying to start something in transition. His eyes were always surveying the whole court to see where the next play was going to come or what he could do to impact that game right now. Yeah,
this kid, heart is probably an understatement, and that to me is you take a look at then that whole Frisk family. It's just a pedigree of heart. So you saw tons of heart in a lot of games. Some, I would say, more for the better than for the worse, because sometimes when you have that heart, sometimes that backfires on you. And he did have a couple games that happened, but he had more games that the heart paid big dividends for than not. So kudos to Mr. Cooper Frisk. Our number 2 standout, Colton Broadwater from the Jefferson Blue Jays.
Guys, a lot of Blue Jays made this JCA small school standout list because, as far as Jefferson County went, they were one of, clearly, if not the best team in Jefferson County at the small school level. Colton Broadwater, the junior, was among the metro area leaders in rebounding. He led the Blue Jays in rebounding. He was second on the team in scoring. He was second on the Blue Jays in blocked shots. This is Colton's second consecutive selection to the team. And Colton, for as big and powerful as he is, and he put on, between his sophomore and junior year, 20 pounds of muscles. He really hit the weight room hard, and it showed. But also the footwork, the finesse is available too. And I feel as good as Colton was, one of the best games I've seen him play was in the loss to St. Pius during the district playoffs. They pounded the ball inside to Colton, and he really took over the game and was so dominant in the paint down on that low post. And I think having seen that and seeing what he's capable of, we're going to have even bigger and better things out of Colton next season.
And you mentioned that game, and that was kind of almost like the Kurt Schilling bloody sock game.
Yeah.
If you saw the pictures from his dad of what his ankle looked like.
Oh, it was bad.
And the gutsy performance he turned in when his team needed a bucket as things were getting pretty dire late in the game. He was out there. He was trying to get in crevices, get a rebound, get a putback. He was out there elevating. He was making shots. He was making plays. And you mentioned between his sophomore and junior year, he arrived on the scene as a sophomore, and he was a revelation. That kid was, he was raw, but it's like he was just like, wow. And then I think he kind of elevated his game a little bit this year. And, he kind of had to fit it in a little bit with some of the other players who had similar skill set as him. But he is just such a game changer, period.
Yeah, big time warrior. The person that comes to my mind, and Jeff, I think you kind of remember John Wyke. Reminds you a lot of John Wyke. You hope he maybe draws a little bit more of the leadership that John had. But I tell you, the warrior mentality was huge this season, and a lot of times that they looked to him and had him carry a couple of games, and he was able to live up to the task. So
if ever there was the definition of someone as a sophomore being a boy and then turning into a man their junior year,
yeah, right.
At least on the court, it was for Colton.
Yeah, absolutely. Our next standout, Blaine Wilson from the Jefferson Blue Jays.
Well, Blaine made the team as a junior based on his hair. No,
Yeah.
another great hair guy. But Blaine led the Blue Jays in scoring in a team who had lots of scorers on it, and that's saying something. He led the starters in free throw shooting percentage. This is Blaine's second consecutive selection to the team. And, when you think about any of the Blue Jays having gaudy stats, none of them do. None of them are stand out in that regard because so many different guys can score. So many different guys can get assists. I mean, you've got 4 or 5 guys in that lineup that are splitting all of these statistics between them. So Blaine doesn't have huge gaudy numbers, but man, there were times Blaine would start off shooting cold and he would heat up as the game come on, and by the second half, by crunch time and pressure situations, he was lights out. I think he's one of the smartest kids on the floor that I've seen play basketball in Jefferson County, and not a bad golfer either.
There you go. Nice.
Oh, all the little fun facts you have. I was surprised when I saw that he led the team in scoring, but when you watch him and that choir of what is the Blue Jays, he just has such a presence about him, and he has such a fiery demeanor, and just talking to him, you wouldn't get that, but as soon as he steps between, the lines and everything, it's like he's a whole different player. And this year, I think last year I thought he was pretty solid, but this year I think he kind of elevated a little bit, and I thought he had, just another level that I didn't know that he had.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. That next level was definitely reached this year. I always looked at him first off as kind of a support person, but hearing that he was the leading scorer, it's because there's so many different weapons with the Jefferson Blue Jays, and they'll still probably have a few of those next season as well left over. So it makes it real easy for players to kind of get pushed under the rug or this, that, and the other. But man, we've had him a couple of times here as our player of the game, and Gordon Stoplight, they love him. So he had a good season this year. But Blaine Wilson, overall just a strong, solid kid. Moving on. Talon Watson, number 4 there, the 4th Jefferson in the first team standouts. I promise you this is not an all Jefferson team, but there are 4 of the 5.
And, every starter made either the first or second team, that's for sure. Talon Watson, the junior, he was among the metro area leaders in rebounds. He led the Blue Jays in rebounds, assists, and block shots as a forward.
Yeah.
So think about that. Second on the Blue Jays in steals. This is Talon's first selection to the team, and Talon was a unanimous choice to the first team standouts. And when I think of Talon, I think of someone who's incredibly athletic, a leader on the floor, knows all the positions. He's really the guy barking out the offense, the defense, helping set up his teammates on the floor. When subs would come in, he'd put them in the proper places if they were unsure as far as where to be. There's so many little things that he does on the floor, as well as hit the rebounds, hit the three-point shot from outside. This is a guy that if he continues on this arc, on this path of improvement season to season, by the time next year rolls around, he will be ready to play at the next level. And he's another type of player, like an Olivia Madden. Is he going to play guard in college? Is he a swing player? Is he a small forward? Because he can really be in a lot of different positions on the floor.
Talon Watson this year, you talk about an incredibly talented Blue Jays team. but he was the biggest surprise for me this year. Because last year, I mean, he had some nice games. I mean, I don't, there wasn't anything where it's like, oh, okay, he's going to be the next big thing. This year, he was the next big thing. And it was just one of those things where it's like, okay, he had one good game. And then it was like, he had another good game. And then he had another good game. And it's just like, this kid just keeps building. And it's like, next year, he could, I mean, he's obviously in the conversation for MVP this year, but I mean, just based on his resume for what he did this year, if he just, I mean, even incrementally gets a little bit better, he's going to be, right in that conversation again next year.
Yeah. He's one of those kids you can walk into the room and say, I'm the brains behind this operation. He really is. I mean, it's and you're right. He's very smart, can help support from, he leads from the back. He's one of those kids, and that's a huge compliment because, a lot of folks want to be the general and stuff, but it's really difficult sometimes to have to lead from the back. And he's just the brains behind this whole thing. I mean, he's really did a lot for the team this season to the point to where, when there were a handful of games where they walked into a game and they were just down. They just weren't hitting things and things like that. And so it took a ton of guts, but it also took a ton of brains to, choose to use the brains to turn games around at times. So big time brain man there for Talon Watson.
Look at the big brain on Talon.
Brain, yeah, there you go. There you go. Our final JCAA small school boys standout is Tanner Duncan from the Herculaneum Blackcats.
Hey, a non-Blue Jay made the list. And,
there you go. I told you that wasn't going to be.
Very well deserved. Tanner Duncan, the senior this season, among metro area leaders in scoring. He led all JCAA schools in scoring. He was among one of the metro area leaders in three-point scoring, which means he led the Black Cats in three-point shooting, rebounding, assists, and steals. This is Tanner's third selection to the team, and Tanner Duncan was also a unanimous selection to the team. And, man, I don't know exactly if I could find the words to describe Tanner and watching him play, watching him grow and develop over the years. And really, one of the biggest challenges for Tanner, for me, and from where I sit, was being able to escape the shadow of his older brother and the way he played and carve out his own path,
right,
and be just as great a player and just as great an athlete on his own right in a different way. And kudos to Tanner. I've known the young man since he was very young. He was actually one of our very first cameramen ever for Live Stream SPL.
Right. I forgot about that.
When he was a little kid and his brother was playing, we probably paid him in candy to run a camera for us. But
pretty much.
I can't say enough about
That's
Tanner.
That's not NIL related.
It was so great for him, for his brother to be able to come back and help coach him this year on the bench. Such a wonderful opportunity for both young men.
Right.
And I'm just so happy. Tanner he's going to play college sports someplace. He wants to play baseball. I know he's going to latch on somewhere. He hasn't committed anywhere yet, but his natural athleticism will come to the fore, especially in baseball.
This is in the award ceremony where they would basically give me a certain amount of time and then they start playing the music because I'm just going to go on and on. Tanner Duncan, and obviously, we've had a long relationship with him, with Livestream STL, Mama Dunk, obviously his brother. But Tanner, from a very early on, was able to establish his own identity. And he, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether it's cornhole, the young man, he's just an athlete. He goes out there and he figures it out.
Yeah.
What did he finish? Third in Herculaneum history in points?
Second.
And this kid, I mean, he's just the most affable kid. He's out there, hey, gee whiz, this is fun. I'm having a good time. He's very respectful, and he plays the game the right way, and he plays with an intensity and with an intelligence. And like I said, I could, give like 8 or 9 more superlatives. He's just He's very fun to watch. He's somebody you root for.
Yeah.
And, like I said, it's kind of bittersweet knowing that, he's done playing basketball at the high school level, but I can't wait to see I can't wait to see what he does next.
Yeah. It's hard to come across a kid that, and his brother was like this too. So now the sister wasn't. Sister was a little more vocal, but a kid that just so even keel, and just lays it on the line, and it's just like, well, here it is, and be humble about it. Be, just I put in 110%, and that's all I can do. And again, it's hard for somebody to realize that it looks so easy on his effort too. So he almost kind of comes across, almost, if you don't know him, he may come across a little arrogant, because he doesn't say anything. But the more you talk to a Tanner Duncan or Jordan Duncan, I mean, the best part of this season was seeing him, break that record of his brothers, and both of them looked at each other. Okay, well, you broke my record. Let's move on, type thing. And that's just how they are, But the important part about it is the things that go unnoticed, and we wanted to make sure that, especially us here at Livestream STL, didn't want to see all that stuff go unnoticed. But number 2 in Herculaneum history in points, only behind some guy named Bruce Thomas, who probably won't ever have his broken.
Never. That never
probably
will be broken.
won't. And he did it without the 3-pointer.
And
so
that's
there
the
you
guy
go.
they named the gym after? Or the
no,
tournament?
No, the tournament after.
Yeah.
Bruce Thomas tournament. So there you go. There are our first team and second team standouts for the boys in the small schools. We are going to move over to the large schools right now. We're going to have to go a little quicker here because we are rocking the time a little too much here. Mm-hmm. Second team, large school boys. Here we go. Cooper Shilley from the Festus Tigers. We're starting off with Festus.
Cooper Shelley, the junior, makes the list this year. His first selection on the team. He was among the metro area leaders in assists. He helped lead the Tigers to that 21-8 overall record. He led the Tigers in assists, and as I mentioned, his first year of the selection in the prototypical one-guard position, he was someone that Coach Johnson could rely on and have total faith in getting that ball up securely, handling it, and getting it in the hands of the playmakers.
Cooper had a great year. It was just a junior, and then you've got him out there facilitating. Obviously, the team had a really good, year, but hey, this kid made it happen, and he's got an excellent ramp for next year.
The spark plug for the Festus Tigers. A lot of folks would probably say, well, it might be that other kid named Johnson. It might be somebody else. But Cooper Shilley kept the team even keel when it needed to be. And I feel like he really took this role pretty serious this season. And, Coach Johnson should be proud of what happened this season. So moving on to our second standout for the second team, that is Jackson Smith from the Festus Tigers.
Jackson Smith makes the team for the first time as a senior. He led the Tigers in steals from his forward position. He also led the Tigers in free throw shooting percentage. He was second on the team in scoring. He was second on the team in rebounding, and he helped lead the Tigers to that 21-8 overall record. Jackson, as great as a basketball player he was, and as smart as a player as he was on the floor, is committed to playing baseball for the University of Michigan. Go Blue, hail to the victors. And Jackson was fun to watch on the basketball court because, number one, obviously, as he's an athlete, he can figure it out, like we talked about Tanner Duncan and excel in whatever he does, but pretty smart player on the floor as well, Scott.
And Jackson, I'm sure, is hoping for a lot less contact, playing baseball.
Yeah, right.
But, obviously, kudos to him, first selection as a senior. A lot of players, get more, exposure over at Festus, for putting up more points. But, those rebounds, those steals, that's what fuels that offense, and that's what makes the whole machine over there go.
Absolutely. The kid's a flat-out athlete, and the other great part about being a great athlete, though, and it doesn't matter what sport he's in, he is a great teammate. And if he's having a great day, if he's not having a great day, you can't tell the difference. And I mean, just a happy-go-lucky kid can get it done whenever, however you need it. But love that he is a great teammate and just fun to be around with. Moving on to our next standout, Nate Womack from the Festus Tigers. We have a trend.
Nate Womack, the junior among the metro area leaders in rebounds. He, a rebounding machine, led the Tigers in that category as well as in block shots. Helped lead the Tigers to that record, and this is Nate's second consecutive selection to the team. Now, I've known Nate since he was about 3 feet tall, and now he's, I don't know, at least 6'6", if not more,
Right.
6'8", 6'9". And he's got 2 brothers that are also in that range, so I don't know what Mama Womack is feeding those boys. Probably Miracle Grow or something.
Probably everything.
But, right?
Nate, there were times when Nate was just dominant on the floor in the big schools and on rebounding. And you talked about steals. Rebounding is the other thing you've got to have to get that offense to go, and offensively or defensively, he was a stalwart for the Tigers.
An excellent compliment to Jackson Smith. Nate, obviously still growing into his body, just a junior, and obviously this is his second consecutive selection. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to predict a third one next year. Just on his resume, his body of work, this kid works hard. This kid does all the things right.
Coach Johnson, get the ball inside to this kid. That's all I got to say. Come on now. No, really. And there were a handful of games that we covered that I saw that I was like, oh, man, that worked. Why didn't we keep doing it again? Because you just keep feeding the kid. And he is just, man, I love getting the ball. I love being able to turn around and put it up against somebody, because there's not very many kids that can match up with him. So get that ball inside there, Coach Johnson, a little bit more. That's all I got to say about that. Our next standout, Colton Hicks from the Hillsboro Hawks.
Well, we just talked about rebounding and block shots and how important that was for the team. And the big for Hillsboro, Colton Hicks, the junior, makes the team this year in his first selection. He was among the metro area leaders in rebounds and block shots, just like Nate was, and led the Hawks in those categories as well. And those two had some great battles between them this year, at least 2 games worth. And very fun to watch here again, almost like Nate, though he does not have the same body size. He's got a little more speed, a little more footwork as a junior, but tremendous upside for Colton, Scott.
And I think you kind of touched on it right there. As a junior, made great strides this year, mostly consistent, obviously a few bumps in the road, but I think for the Hawks, if he can kind of focus just a little bit more and kind of maybe harness some of his aggression, I think he could really take the next step next year, and then who knows where he goes.
Hey, Coach, get that ball inside. No, I'm just kidding. No, another kid that you could very easily get inside there, though. But, Colton Hicks kind of had that breakout season this season, I think. You got him set up for his senior year to really just start dominating. And, Coach Hardy over there's got himself, could be one of those diamonds in the rough, so to speak, coming into the next season here. So our next standout, Sam Becker from the Windsor Owls.
Sam Becker, the junior for the Owls, makes the team for the first time, guys. And Sam is one of the only players on this list that I actually wanted to list the statistics instead of saying he was just a leader, because these statistics are pretty eye-popping for this county especially. He led the Owls with an 87% free throw shooting percentage. That's sort of unheard of in Jefferson County, unfortunately. This is not known as a very good free throw shooting county. Yeah. More importantly, he led all Owls starter in three-point shooting percentage. He shot 41% from beyond the arc.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
That's up there. Yeah. He helped lead the Owls to a conference title. As I mentioned, this is his first time on the team, and he's the wild card. He very easily could have made the first team in what he brings to the table for Windsor, and I am so excited to see what this young man can do next year.
I was so glad to see him come take a seat at the table this year. Obviously, you've got, Hagley, you've got Blake, who get a lot of the spotlight for Windsor, and obviously they had a very strong run this year, obviously down the stretch capturing the conference title. But the game that I got to see him early in the year, he was making these, for lack of a better way, just stupid passes. It was like, how did he do that? And then he just had, that Spider-Man stick him on his fingers to get steals here and there. And he had such a good game. He was whenever he went to go sit down on the bench, I was kind of disappointed because I'm like, I want to see more of this kid play.
Right, yeah. Definitely the facilitator and the person that helps Hagley and others. But the biggest thing I saw, again, we saw him early this season. Same thing here. He just was able to be a playmaker, and that's so important for success for teams to be able to put up a bunch of points. So kudos to Sam Becker. We're going to move on to our first team, and our first teamer for the Main Street Sports Standouts in the large boys division here is Drew Johnson from the Festus Tigers.
Drew Johnson makes the team as a senior, obviously. This is not the first time he's been on the team. He was among the metro area leaders in three-point shooting. He helped those Tigers to that big 21-8 overall record. He led the Tigers in scoring and three-point shooting. Interesting statistics here. He ended his career with over 1,000 points.
Wow.
But more importantly, over 600 of those were three-point baskets.
Wow.
He made over 200 three-pointers.
Holy moly.
His third consecutive selection to the team. Drew has committed to playing basketball at Jefferson College, and Drew was a unanimous selection to the team. And for Drew, obviously, Coach Walker over there, he's found an outside shooter. Drew was very streaky at times. There would be times when his shots weren't hitting, and when you're an outside shooter like that, the only way to get through that is to keep shooting, and he did, and he was able to shoot his way through it. I've gotten to know Drew a lot better this year, and his little brother Dirk as well, and is going to be another great player for the Tigers. But I'm so excited to get to see him in a Vikings uniform in the next couple of seasons.
Yay.
Did you say Drew?
I might have to.
Johnson.
But getting to see this kid over the course of his career, there were several nights where, it didn't even look like it didn't matter where you gave him the ball. It was like he had confidence. He was like, you give it to me, out there at Steph Curry land, it doesn't matter. You can give me, 11-footer. As soon as he elevates, you're like, you can tell out of his hand whether it's going to go in. And just, like I said, some of those nights it was just magical watching him play, and he was just an incredible contributor to his team's success.
This kid is a kid that has the it factor. And what I mean by it, he can, and we haven't even seen all of it yet. So I'll even say that as much. But and that's why I'm looking forward to seeing him in the next couple of years come under CB Walker and see what he can, mine more out of Drew. But kid's got the it factor and can carry himself as well throughout the season. As if you need me to facilitate a few games, I can do that. If you need me to start being that guy that can hit threes, I'll do that. And so, he's kind of that five-tool player, so to speak, and it can use every single one of those tools to his advantage when he needs to. So looking forward to it. Next, we have Brendan Pointer from the Hillsboro Hawks.
Well, we've got the first of a dynamic backcourt duo for the Hawks this season, the senior Brendan Pointer. And Brendan was among the metro area leaders in assists. He led the Hawks in that statistic as well. He was second on the team in scoring and steals. And this is Brendan's first selection to the team as a senior, and he made it count with that first team selection, Scott.
He's such a lanky kid, though, and it's like, I'd like to see him eat a couple more cheeseburgers, put a couple more pounds on.
Ooh. But
this kid has such a quick first step, and I can't count how many nights, I saw him, he would bring up, the ball up, 50, 60 times a game, and he's doing it at not just, just dribbling it up. I mean, he's running up the court, and he's drawing a tough assignment night in, night out. A lot of times he's getting double teamed, and he is still putting up numbers. This kid had an MVP like season for Hillsboro. Obviously, Hillsboro, on the scoreboard, their record may not have been what they were hoping for, but he went out there and he delivered. He just delivered.
Speed kills. That's all I have to say about that. Speed kills, and he is a quick dude, and his quickness got a lot of teams off kilter. They've gotten a lot of teams behind the eight ball to the point to where it's like, how do we even stop this kid? And they can't. And so that's Brandon Pointer in a nutshell. I mean, just fast and can get the ball and can get the job done. So kudos to Brendan. Our next standout from the Hillsboro Hawks also is Cooper McGrath.
Well, and speaking of all those attributes that we just gave Brendan Pointer, you could say the same about Cooper McGrath, that speedy backcourt presence. Cooper, the senior, this is his second consecutive selection to the team, and I'll tell you up front, I'm a big fan of Cooper McGrath, have been for the past few years, and what he brings to the table. He was among the metro area leaders in steals. He led the Hawks in scoring and in steals. He also led the Hawks with a 70% free throw shooting percentage. He was second on the team behind Pointer in assists. And for me, you talk about, quickness, quick first steps, and how I've seen Cooper, when necessary, just be able to shred defenses, shred zones, shred double teams. Very impressive to watch. I feel he has the tools to play at the next level if he wants to, and that remains to be seen at this time. But, I was a big Cooper McGrath fan, Scotty.
The 1-2 punch between Pointer and McGrath, I mean, that's what drove Hillsboro this year. When they were successful, those two were out there. They were doing their own thing. They've got a little bit of a contrast in their games, but Cooper, I think, is a little bit more physical, and he's a little bit more cerebral on his game. But like you said, if this kid probably put on like another 10, 15 pounds, I could easily see him going, to Jeffco. He could go to St. Louis Community College, and he could probably start for them.
Yeah. A ton of poise, just a smart kid, very cerebral, like Jeff said, as far as
those unassuming kids too, too,
yeah, right.
Quiet, humble.
Yeah, he is. He really is. But I tell you, the biggest thing for me, I saw just a ton of poise in the games that he, helped carry out, and ran a handful of games for Hillsboro to big wins. So great nights for Cooper McGrath. Our next standout, Colby Blake from the Windsor Owls.
Colby Blake, the junior from Windsor Owls. And if you're sensing a theme so far, look at all the guards on this first team, guys. Yep. Among the metro area leaders in assists, he helped lead the Owls to a conference title. He led the Owls in scoring, assists, and steals. And this is Colby's first selection to the team, and just a highly talented young man that can kind of do it all out there for Windsor. And he was the key cog in the wheel to their success this season.
I know Colby Blake's family through the softball community, and all the Windsor games that they would show up and support him. And just watching the kid play, I mean, he goes out there, he plays with all heart. He goes out there, he's all about the team, and he's kind of like a magnet. It's like the points just kind of stick to him like he's a refrigerator, and it's incredible because you watch him and you were like, he's not doing anything fancy. And he's only a junior. He's only going to get better.
Yeah, Colby Blake is the nitrous oxide that is needed for the Windsor Owls. No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
We had a ton of early games there with Windsor, and they came out at the beginning of the season, and it just seemed like it kept getting better and better and better. But, man, they were blowing teams out by big-time numbers. Now, granted, they got a really bad district pull. They'll be able to jump back down south this next year because it's like every other year they flip-flop. But, he was our first Gordon Stoplight Player of the Game of the season, I think, for a boys game, and just unbelievable points. Amount of athleticism and just being able to be able to handle it too, because I mean it's one thing to run around with your head on fire, but to keep it under control is a whole other aspect too. And he can do that. So great job.
Misha, if you're watching, absolutely criminal that they're not in the same district for basketball in the postseason with the Festus and Hillsborough.
Shots fired.
Agreed.
Shots fired. We are not in control of that, so we don't have any control of that. The disclaimer here.
It's just our opinion.
The opinions of Jeff Whitener are not necessarily the opinions of Livestream STL, but in this case, it kind of is. So there you go.
Without the express written consent
of Livestream STL,
it is prohibited.
There you have it. All right, we have our final JCAA Large Boys Standout, and it is none other than Owen Hagley from the Windsor Owls.
Owen Hagley, man, a guy that when he got hot could take over a game and win a game on his own for Windsor. Second on the team in scoring. He actually has a Misha record. He's in the record book for top scorers in the game. He put 45 points up with somebody. I don't have that information, the details more than that, but he helped lead the Owls to a conference title. 3-sport athlete. He'll most likely commit to playing college baseball somewhere. If he has, I have not heard that yet. If someone would like to drop a comment, we'd love to know, because I'm a big Owen fan as far as his baseball and basketball goes. This is Owen's second consecutive selection to the team, and every team has a guy that, if they're going up against a tough opponent, and sometimes your number one guys, your number two guys will cancel each other out. And it's up to someone else to sort of pick up the baton and run with it and dominate and be the difference maker. And it just seemed to me that more often than not, it was Owen for the Owls. He was the difference maker.
I cannot disagree. We talked about, obviously, Colby Blake and the incredible, contributions he made this year. But the senior Hagley, he was the leader on the floor. I mean, he was. A lot of times he would take a tough assignment. He would, some nights he would be a facilitator. Some nights he would be a scorer. He kind of wore a lot of different hats, and it didn't seem to faze him. He was just like, tonight I'm going to do what I think is going to be best for the team, and the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, you don't very often, choose a captain per se, but I think he would be very much the captain for the Windsor Owls, and being able to take the last couple years, especially, we've heard his name a ton. He kind of lived in a little bit of the shadows of Noah Barnes, but was able to take a lot of those those experiences and call them his own. So great season here for Owen Hagley and the Windsor Owls, and kudos to their conference championship. By the way, conference championships: the Windsor Owls for the boys large, the St. Vincent Indians for the boys small, the Hillsborough Hawks for the girls large, and the St. Vincent Indians for the girls small. So those are our JCAA champs. We're going to jump over, and it is now time to do our MVPs. Ooh. Are you ready, guys?
Let's do it.
Ready. Let's see who made the list.
We're starting with the girls JCAA small school MVP, and it is
insert drum roll.
Peyton Guffey from the Jefferson Blue Jays. Peyton Guffey is our MVP.
Oh, look at that graphic. That's
you like
nice.
that graphic?
And I can tell you guys, as someone who tabulates the votes and sends out the ballots and all that stuff, one of the closest votes we've ever had when it came to our small girls MVP. So many good players to choose from this year, and Peyton was able to just barely edge out her other competitors.
Scotty Lotta was a close second.
It was an honor just being nominated.
That's right. There you go. All right. It's time to do the boys small school MVP. And it is Tanner Dunn from the Herculaneum Black Cats.
Of all the Blue Jays,
Yep.
and Tanner gets in there and steals it, and congratulations.
Right? Yeah,
A
right.
black cat was able to rise above the Blue Jays. Yes. Tanner Duncan, no surprise here. Tanner was not a unanimous choice. There were other votes tallied, but when you look at his body of work this year and look at some of the things he was able to accomplish, there's plenty of reason why Tanner was made JCA Small Schools MVP.
Well deserved.
Tanner, you made me so proud. You go Black Cats. That's all I got to say. All right. Time to move on to the large schools. And we're going to start with the girls MVP. And our MVP for the girls, large school,
Is
Main Street Sports Standout, is Ashley Hilton from the Hillsboro Hawks. I love this picture, by the way.
A forward makes the standouts list. How about that? We've had that debate about, who's more important to the team, the scorer or the guard and all that stuff. That was fun on social media. But Ashley Hilton makes the list again, and very well deserved.
and the voting.
And of all of our 4 MVPs, Ashley Hilton was the only unanimous MVP choice. So
Hey, there you go.
there you go, Ashley. I know that's not going to
One last hurrah for Hiltonsboro.
Yeah,
There you go.
that won't phase you one way or the other, I'm sure, because I know your personality. But we on the media and the coaches that voted on this seem to think very highly of you, and I do too.
There you go. All right. We come down to our final MVP, and it is the large school boys MVP, Main Street Sports Standouts for JCAA 2026. And it is none other than Colby Blake from the Windsor Owls.
Colby Blake pictured left on your screen.
No, it is not Scott Lotta. It is Colby Blake, the guy on the left side. That's
I will accept on his behalf.
And I'm telling you, folks, this is probably a bit of an upset when we tally the votes. I'm not going to lie to you. He had some stiff competition this year, but for Colby as a junior to jump up and get the most votes for the large school standout was a bit of a surprise for me, but obviously well deserved in what he brought to the table and being that big cog in the wheel that was the Windsor Owls and their successful season. So I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to make this my profile picture.
All right. You have to get it from me, so there you go.
Scott Lotta is our MVP.
That's right. That's right.
I got a great supporting cast.
Oh, that's great.
So before we get out of here, I have some housekeeping.
Okay.
Kind of go through by the numbers real quick. Out of our 40 selections, 22 players selected were seniors. 13 were juniors. We had 4 sophomores make the list, and of course, the lone freshman with Colton Adams. Unanimous picks for our teams, we had 7 out of the 40 were unanimous picks total. And of course, for MVP, as we mentioned, just 1 unanimous pick in Ashley Hilton. Now, there are some other area players I just want to mention real quick that the JCA schools out of Perry County that we really couldn't add to the list because we don't cover them. We don't get to see them much, but we know that they're great players. Abby Amberger, the junior out of Perryville, 1,000-point scorer.
Yeah.
She's a great player. Bree and Kate Rubel, the seniors from St. Vincent, that will be going on to play beach volleyball at Missouri State, 1-2 in scoring on their team.
They're still playing, too.
And they're still playing.
They are.
As of now. Also, former JCA schools, be remiss if we didn't talk about some of the great players over at St. Pius and Brooke Blankenship and what she's brought to the table, former player of the year here on the Main Street Sports Show. And she'll be playing college basketball at SIUE next season. So it was wonderful to watch her and follow her career. Also, Harrison Ray, the sophomore at St. Pius, he led the Lancers in just about every single offensive category, and he really put the team on his back against Jefferson in the game he had down in District Skies.
He also caught a pretty important touchdown pass for them this year too.
Yeah, not too bad on the football field either.
Right.
Brody Irvin, the junior at St. Pius, he answers to that second place district. So I did want to mention those players, great individuals, great people, and although that we couldn't add them into our list because of the way that.
Well, that wraps up our Main Street Sports Standout repost. We're going to send out photos and things like that, so make sure that you give the accolades to the kids here. And again, we appreciate attention now to baseball season and the spring, so we will have some baseball come around the corner here. But for all of us here at Livestream STL, thanks again for watching the Main Street Sports Thanks for watching today's broadcast. Any unauthorized use of this broadcast without the express written consent of Livestream STL is strictly prohibited.